This week on Vikings, Bjorn still can't seem to catch a break, Ivar's reunited with an old friend, and Uba welcomes baby Ragnar to the family. All this while an inevitable war continues to brew. I'm Mr. Hansen, and this is Spoiler Alert. This episode started off teasing us yet again with another Floki return. This time, a large man, cloaked in furs, comes walking into the settlement in Iceland. Although, instead of Floki, the cloaked figure turned out to be Odair, the man that Uba had been hoping to meet so that Odair could lead Uba and Torvi to the Golden Lands out west. After a brief conversation, Odair agrees to take them to the Golden Lands, but Uba's faith in the man is soon diminished when he catches him praying to a Christian god. Uba called the man out, forcing the man to admit that he's not in fact Odair, but an old traveling companion with the real Odair who died of sickness. But judging from this clip, I think it's safe to say that Odair didn't die from sickness. He told Uba that he took Odair's identity to live amongst the Norsemen and that his name was actually Athelstan, further driving Uber's anger because, well...
No idea what that name means to me.
Although, I don't believe Uba spent much time with Athelstan, so I didn't really get this, but I digress. Just when it seemed that Uba was going to kill the man for lying, Torvi reminded Uba that he himself was once a Christian and was baptized in the name of the Lord, and that if he kills the man, they will never find the Golden Land that this man still claimed to know the location of. Although we don't know yet what Uba plans to do with the man, whose name we still don't know, he did come to Uba with a peace offering, giving Uba Floki's wedding ring, exposing another one of his lies when he told us that he never met Floki and that he had arrived after Floki was already gone. The man went on to admit that he did in fact meet Floki, and Floki gave him the ring as a token of their friendship before Floki stripped himself naked and wandered off into the wilderness. Okay. So this guy saying that Floki stripped himself naked and wandered off in the wilderness is the most believable thing that he said since he's come onto the show. And if what this man is saying is true, then that means Floki is the badass we all thought he was, and he did in fact survive that cave collapsing. But at this point, we have no reason to believe what this man with no name is saying. And meanwhile, while all this is going on, Torvi is over here having a baby. And of course, nothing can ever be easy for Torvi, so why should having a baby be any different? After determining that the baby would not be born in a natural way, the midwife decides that a C-section is in order. She heats up her knife and proceeds to operate on Torvi. We see that Torvi is faced with a near-death experience when she comes face-to-face with her son Halli, who was killed courageously defending Lagatha's settlement. Torvi is faced with the decision to let go of life and join her sons in the halls of Valhalla, or to hold on to life and continue her journey with Uba. She tells Halli that it's not yet time, holds on to life, and gives birth to a beautiful baby boy named Ragnar. Ragnar Uba's son. I really like the sound of that. Okay, look. I'll be the first to admit, I am one of those people, like many of you out there, who was not too interested in the Iceland story, and it just kind of sucked. To be honest, the only good thing about it was Floki, but at the same time, it sucked for Floki. Nothing good happened. It was constantly just one issue after another, and it was just very tiring, but I get it, you know. They're in a new land. They're trying to build a life from scratch. So the main focus is just trying to survive these harsh winters, find food, find water, find shelter, stay warm, and survive. So, you know, not a whole lot to it, but it seems now that we're starting to get a settlement is built, you know, they're established, they've gained their ground, and now we can start to see some real storylines develop out of Iceland, and it really helps that they got some key characters there now. Instead of just Floki, and the idea that Floki might come back really just makes it that much better, but now we got Uba there, and, you know, Uba's the son of Ragnar. He's a key character, and I think that that's going to set us up for some nice stories coming out of Iceland. And let's not forget Torvi. Torvi, who never gets... who I believe is one of the most underrated characters in the show. I mean, she's one of the original characters that's been here almost from the beginning. I mean, let's think back when she was married to Jarl Borg, okay? That was a long time ago. Most of the people that were around back then are dead. I understand Bjorn's still here, but Actor wise, it's a different act. Whatever. Okay, so Bjorn and Torvi are like some of the only ones that are still here from the original season. I believe Tori was in there. I'll have to double check that. But anyways, she's definitely been on the show longer than most people. She's had a great story. Her character's had a great arc, and her story's been as good as anybody else's on the show. So I think it's time, we give Tori some love, and I'm really happy that she's there. And the show really needs to stop playing with me, insinuating that like Torvi's death is imminent, with the trying to sacrifice herself for Lagatha and then dying during childbirth. Just stop it, all right? We need Torvi to stick around. All right, moving on. Last season ended on a high note for Bjorn, defeating Ivar and becoming the king of all Kattegat, but the high for Bjorn was short-lived, and throughout this whole season, Bjorn has been taking L's. He lost his kingdom to King Finehair, his mother was killed by his own brother, and his estranged son was also killed by a man that Bjorn himself had allowed to live. Last episode, his wife Gunhild caught him cheating on her with Gunhild's maidservant Ingrid. Gunhild went on to suggest that Bjorn should marry Ingrid and be the husband of 2 wives. Gunhild's attitude towards the situation seems to have changed this episode as she's become very salty towards Ingrid and Bjorn, taking shots at Ingrid's shortcomings every chance she got. Her pettiness had to be put on hold when Bjorn learns that the same people that Ivar had been staying with have been sending out raiding parties to scout out the Scandinavian lands. Bjorn knows that he needs to prepare for an invasion, but also knows that he is not strong enough by himself to fend off an invading army. He is forced to ask King Finehair for help, despite the fact that King Finehair had just stolen Bjorn's kingdom. Bjorn sends out Eric to meet with King Finehair and ask for help. But Bjorn's request is not well received, and Finehair sentences Eric to death and has him sent to a holding cell until his death in the morning. This gave King Olaf a chance to speak with Finehair and suggests that Finehair listen to the man, as Olaf agrees that this is not an army that any of them can fight alone. King Finehair finally agrees to hear Eric out and eventually agrees to work with Bjorn. But he would not be going to Bjorn to help defend Kattegat, but Bjorn could come to him and they could stand as a united front against an invading force while protecting the capital, but not Kattegat. Eric tells Finehair that Bjorn will agree to his terms. Finehair instructs Eric to send word to Bjorn, but does not tell us that he's going to spare Eric's life. So we will have to wait until next episode to find out what happens with this. So it would appear that for next week we're in store for another great battle, which is good news to me because I feel like this season has been lacking in the killing. There hasn't been that many big fights. There's been some, and they were good. I'll give you that. But there hasn't been that many, and I'm hoping that's because they threw all their budget at this mid-season finale, and we are going to see something epic. Because, this season has been a whole lot of like building up. There's been a lot of storytelling, new situations for everybody, which is great. We love to see all that and everything, but ultimately we want to watch people die. Okay, we want to see swords, we want to see shields, and we want to see it happen. So I'm really hoping that we're going to see, Bjorn and Finehair are going to come together because let's face it, the show is just way better when they are fighting on the same side. We love it, and we can't get enough of it. 2 really, really strong personalities coming together, and they really are a force to be reckoned with when they're on the same side. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. This whole situation with Gunhild and Ingrid, I'm not into it. Whatever, it is what it is. It's a little bit of filler, and it just shows us that Bjorn just can't keep it in his pants, and Gunhild understands that about him, and she's at least in some way trying to cater to that. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Meanwhile, back in Kyiv, Ivar and Prince Oleg are preparing to invade Scandinavia, sending out raiding parties to scout out a plan of attack. Last episode, Ivar expressed his desire to join one of these raiding parties, and it would seem that his wish was granted. While out scouting, Ivar was reunited with his half-dead brother Vitsert. Ivar seemed pleased with finding his brother, despite their oaths that the next time they saw each other, one would die. This whole season, we have watched Vitsert sink into a sad state of depression, which led to heavy drug use and hallucinogens of Ivar trying to kill him. He was genuinely scared of Ivar. But when he seen Ivar for the first time since his defeat, he didn't try to run or try to hide or even try to kill Ivar. Maybe it's because he was already a broken man and he just hoped Ivar would just kill him. But Ivar accepted his brother. He was happy about it and even had some touching moments with him as Ivar brought Vitsert back to Kiev, where Ivar would tend to his brother and bring him back to life. Vitsert did tell Ivar that he had done what Ivar had failed to do and killed Lagertha. It's difficult to determine how Ivar felt about the news, as his facial expressions left everyone wondering. Was he upset that it was not him who killed her, or was he sad that his brother's condition was so bad that he actually killed Lagertha? Either way, Ivar's got to know the news of Lagertha's death would fuel the fire of the people of Kattegat and make an invasion that much more difficult. Ivar introduced Vitsert to Prince Oleg and Princess Katya, and they both accepted Vitsert to their cause and welcomed him into their home. Ivar was anxious to hear that Vitsert saw the resemblance of Princess Katya and Ivar's former wife Freydis, but Vitsert didn't see it that way. He said that Ivar is crazy and that Princess looks nothing like Ivar's previous wife, which makes us have to rethink what we were thinking. The idea of a possible twin sisters Russian spy might have lost some ground here, though we still don't know exactly what's going on here, so we'll have to wait and find out. The episode, it ended with a shot of Prince Oleg's army taking formation, appearing to ready to march to take on Bjorn and King Finehair. I, for one, am really looking forward towards this battle. I don't think that it's really any surprise that Vitsert did go back to Ivar because when he was sent away from Kattegat. I mean, where else was he going to go? I think a lot of people probably figured that that's exactly what was going to happen, that he would end up back with Ivar. It was a bit surprising to see Ivar's reaction to the whole thing, about how he was really happy about it. But you know what? I kind of get it. If you look at it from the point that, Ivar's been in this foreign land, surrounded by people that he doesn't know, that don't know him. His best friend's a little kid. And on top of it, he's got this woman that shows up that looks like his ex-wife, but nobody really understands what he's saying when he says that. So you can almost understand why he was happy to see Vitsert, a familiar face, someone who knew him, and someone who could try to help him figure out what's going on with this whole Princess Katya thing. Didn't go the way he wanted, but at least he has, someone who should know, who should understand what he's going through, and this person's telling him that he's crazy. So maybe Ivar will just accept the fact that he is in fact crazy. I don't know, but they're back together. I really don't know how this is going to play out, if Vitsert's going to stay with them or, because at the same time, Ivar is trying to dupe everybody that he's with right now too. So who knows how this is going to play out. I'm excited. It's going to be fun. The mid-season finale should be awesome and amazing and great, and we will definitely be right here to spoil it. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Spoiler Alert. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. It was awesome. This was my very first video, so, this one I'm always going to remember. And if you guys feel like taking this YouTube journey with me, feel free to subscribe. If you don't, that's cool too. Thanks for at least giving me a chance. I look forward to doing it again. Vikings, Season 6, Episode 9. You've officially been spoiled. So until next time, Skål.